Welcome back, everybody, to a new episode of the CultureVerse podcast. We have a very fantastic episode waiting for you guys. And no, I'm not Gabe. I am here to replace the GOAT for now. He'll be back soon. Don't worry, I'll do my very best. But today, me and Caleb are here, and we are here to discuss the new MCU movie, The Fantastic Four.
Small
Caleb, want
cast
to
here.
start? Yes, very, very small group here. Caleb, want to start? Or you want me to go? Because I got something.
Well, if you have something prepared, go ahead, because I don't really have anything prepared.
Okay, well, I want to start by saying this movie is very well done visually. The effects, the CGI for the villains, the powers, all of it looks great. And not only that, but the retro and the futuristic look of this world is so fun. This is a very fun environment to be in.
Yeah, the visuals for me, the most best ones for me specifically, probably go to the space scenes. Everything
Hmm.
in space look really great. Like just the shots of like Earth, or when Galactus is like walking, I guess, through space or floating
Hmm.
on his machine. There was one scene that I wish made it though. When we're talking about the space, when he's falling. When I assume it's when he's talking when he flies up
Yeah, it's when he grabs
when
her
she goes the first
surfboard and
time.
she,
Yeah,
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 they
that
don't
would
do
have been
it.
a great addition to have because it looks great in the trailer. I don't know why that got cut, but that kind of is another big aspect of this movie that I don't want to segue completely, but I feel like this movie desperately needed to be, I guess not desperately, but it definitely needed to be longer. I probably would have appreciated another half hour because I think that this movie, especially in the first act, just kind of felt a little rushed. I don't know what your thoughts on that are, but I felt like the pacing on the first act was ridiculous.
It definitely jumps right into it. And I know we've talked about this, but kind of like with Superman, they don't really do a very good job of like telling us where we at in time. They kind of just they literally jump into it. Like we got finished through the preview trailers and then the movie just started. It was
Hmm.
so weird. But I was fine with the little montage just because it's nice to jump into these characters that we know in a global way and just be able to jump into their movie. But I will say the ending had me feeling like that's it. Like you couldn't have that. I definitely agree. It should have been longer for
Yeah,
sure.
I think that going back to the first act part of it, I think that when I talked about Superman, I was wanted more at the beginning because it was the beginning of a universe, and that's kind of where my qualm with that was. This is more like we know this is like what is it, the 37th movie in the MCU. Like it doesn't have to be an origin story.
Hmm.
So I was kind of okay with the montage of them like getting their powers. I'm more specifically talking about like the parts where it was just kind of going from scene to scene to scene to scene,
Hmm.
and they were starting these. There was like exposition that kind of felt shallow, and I really wish we could have spent more time, maybe 10 minutes, building up these characters a little bit, and then maybe adding 10 more minutes onto the end. I mean, I have my own way of how I would have ended the movie, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
But I just think the first act, yeah, it just kind of cuts it. It's edited a little weirdly, in my opinion, to get a little picky. But yeah, anti-climactic, that's another con I have where it just kind of feels like, all right, that was that.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you talking about with the ending?
Yeah, like how we get to the ending is great. Like Sue
Yes.
Storm is
The final
amazing.
act is amazing.
Yes, the fight with I guess not really a fight. The holding back of Galactus was incredible. How they were all using their powers. That was the whole thing. And
Yeah.
then when the movie ends, you're like, okay, like I had
Hmm.
fun. Like I don't want to sit here and say like didn't have fun with this movie. It was a very entertaining movie. It just kind of felt like we could have done more with this movie, like this addition to the MCU. So I don't know if, like I said to you, I don't know if this is like audience bias per se, but I don't know. It just felt a little like I was expecting more.
I lean towards the audience bias because I think we were all expecting it to go one way. Because how else are you supposed to connect this to the MCU? And if you haven't already noticed, but we do spoilers, so spoilers ahead, but this movie doesn't connect to the MCU in a way. It's its own thing. They don't, as you would probably guess, Galactus does not win. Uh, they save their planet and they stay there. But the mid-credit scene, that's interesting, but still being said, it's like that's it.
Well, that kind of goes back to like the ending of Thunderbolts when we see the ship,
Hmm.
and
Yep.
it's like, I mean, I was like, there's no way that's Doom because remember that rumor came out and it was like, oh, what if it's actually Doom because like the left leg of the plane is broken or so like it was like whatever. But now I'm like, well, was that actually Doom now? Because what actually happens at the end of Fantastic Four then? Like,
I
I
don't.
don't know. There's a lot to be left on the table with this movie. Then I feel like this could
Mhm,
have been a great setup for Doomsday because the next movie we get is Brand New Day, and I
mhm.
can't imagine. I mean, maybe there'll be an end credit scene, but that story is not going to be centered on how Doom is
No,
entering the MCU.
no,
So we're effectively going to go straight into the Doomsday with a lot of
that.
questions. I think we're going to go into Doomsday like, how is this even going to happen?
Mhm.
Because I don't know what to expect, and I think
Yeah.
maybe that's a good thing, but it's also kind of a bad thing. Also, I think it kind of works as a pro and a con, so that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, one of my notes I've written down is where do we go from here? And I think that's a question I think a lot of people are going to have when they leave this movie. But moving on from an MCU standpoint, a little spoiler for my rating, but this movie's great. I think this movie is. It's been a while. I thought Thunderbolts was all right. So walking out of the theater, I thought this movie. I haven't felt this good about an MCU movie in a while. So that was good to hear.
Yeah, and kind of I was just talking just like before we started, I was like, where am I going to rank this movie? The thing I keep going back on is do I think this is better than Thunderbolts? And I think that this year has been really interesting for MCU because Brave New World is kind of just there. I
Uh,
think if you told the average person, like, hey, three MCU movies came out, name them, they would never say Captain America. So I think I'm glad Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four kind of stand on their own in a way. But I don't know what to rank them now because I do think these are both great movies. I think that this movie is very entertaining, and that's something that works in Marvel's favor with something like a crew, like a family, like Fantastic
mhm,
Four. Like you want it to be fun. To get more general audiences in the theater coming back a second time, like I know we're going to.
mhm.
And that's just maybe probably my best pro with this movie. It just feels fun. Like the scene where you get introduced to Galactus for the first time
So
is
good.
incredible.
Our
And that
theater was
whole
shaking. It was
yeah,
awesome.
the whole escape scene from Galactus and
Mhm.
Shalaval is incredidible. The
Yeah.
whole where she gives birth, the tension is incredible. The visuals of space and the black hole is great,
Yeah, that
but
that
it
entire sequence is great.
yeah, but it's just kind of like yeah, we don't really reach the heights like we mentioned that could have reached. So while I think it is really fun, I think that it could have been better in a sense. And again, kind of goes into audience bias of my own self, which can't really help that. So like we talked about before, just my looking up the movie. So
When it comes to the casting, I know this was a big issue going into this movie is Pedro Pascal getting cast and everything, Joseph Quinn being Johnny, and that was my biggest complaint. Is I wasn't a big fan of Joseph Quinn being Johnny Storm. After this movie, my thoughts have changed. I thought he did pretty well. He wasn't Chris Evans, for sure, but he definitely has some bright moments in this movie for sure. But everybody else in this movie is amazing.
no, when we watched the trailer for Fantastic Four, okay, I think it was the second one that came out.
Mhm.
We talked about the trailer on the pod, and I was like, I just don't see Joseph Quinn in this role. He does
Mhm.
great. He really redeemed it. I think that it was good for him to have a really important side quest. I don't want to call it a side quest, where it's like uncovering the language of Shalabal.
Yeah,
I'm glad they added that because he would have just felt like so random. And I think Joseph Quinn portrays Johnny Storm really well. I 50-50 on if Chris Evans and him is better. I think it's probably too soon for me to say that. I think a recency bias would probably say Joseph Quinn, but I love Chris Evans too as Human Torch. So, but yeah, that was my biggest problem. I think that another problem that we both had was how the Silver Surfer was going to look. And I think that the effects for that too kind of go back to that really good. And I think what did you think about her character? Did you think she felt like, what did you think about her whole backstory and all that, how that came to happen?
I thought it was interesting. It made her ending feel more real in a way. Like it didn't feel forced. Like because I know there's a lot of iterations where Silver Surfer does turn on Galactus, but this felt like it made sense. So it it worked for me.
Yeah, I did like how they had that now, how Johnny actually kind of basically explains it to us. I
Hmm.
think that works. I think it adds more depth to her character. I do think it's a little quick, but it doesn't have to be. Like it's like this whole 10-15 minute exposition moment where it's like her entire backstory. I think it's fine. I thought Julia Garner was really it's Julia Garner, right? Am I crazy?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Um, yeah, I think she had just enough to add some emotion to her end of her story, but where do we go with her? Like her and
Yeah.
Galactus are now at wherever they are. Do you think we see Silver Surfer again?
Not hers.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Hmm. I mean, I have no idea. I don't have a stake in that, but
I don't think we'll honestly see a Silver Surfer again in the MCU. That would be my guess.
Yeah, I wonder. Do you think it could be like a Loki situation where she went like, what is that place even called? I don't remember what it's called.
The
You know, when
Void?
the void. You think maybe she went to the void or something?
No, no.
Uh, I don't know. I just the Silver Surfer was really cool. I think that her and Galactus together provided some really cool moments. I
Hmm.
think before we even started, I was like, "What do you expect?" I was like, "I just want Galactus to be cool." Like
It was
I,
cool.
and he was really cool.
Hmm.
So if that counts for anything,
Yeah, no. Ralph Ineson as Galactus was a very good choice. A very good
yeah.
choice.
And he looked good too. Like I
Yeah.
think with something like so large scale, it could look goofy or like too
Mhm.
CGI. I think it looks like straight
Well,
out of a comic book.
apparently they like Godzilla'd him. They made like these tiny props and made him walk around in these streets of very small streets,
That's
and they
actually kind
filmed
of
it like that.
awesome.
Yeah.
But
So
I even remember I saw a thing where he was like, I made my voice lower somehow. I was like, what?
I didn't think it was that
It
low.
didn't sound low, so I don't know what
It
he was
sounded
talking
like
about.
he was normal,
Yeah,
which
it
still
did.
lower than everybody, but
Yeah.
still.
Honestly, I'd actually argue he sounded higher pitched than he usually does. So I don't know what they if they did like in post or something to make his voice sound like recognizable because if it was lower than it normally is, it'd be like
Mhm.
just grumbling. So I don't.
Moving on to who I believe is one of the small but yet goats of this movie, Hermie. Hermie was so fun.
Oh yeah, Herbie.
Yeah, Herbie, sorry. Yeah, he was awesome. And the little song he sings to Franklin, oh my God. He was
Yeah,
great.
he was a fun addition. Like I guess that's another thing I have here in my review is that the family aspect of this movie, which you have to deliver in the Fantastic Four, it
Mhm.
works. I
Oh,
think
it's
that they like their dynamic is it's kind of like almost unexplored, but also just good enough to kind of feel like you can see yourself in maybe one of the characters
Mhm.
at least, and that's helpful.
Yeah.
Um, I think that um, Pedro as Reed Richards is really good. I think I just said in my editing review he had one of his best performances in recent memory. He might be better in this.
Yeah, no,
Um,
he's really good.
yeah, him and Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm. Sue Storm is incredible in this movie. And I saw people saying this was like her movie. Maybe. I mean, she's the maternal figure of this
Yeah, you could
family.
argue that. Yeah.
Yeah, she has a really big role in basically how the plan works out. Like a lot of that is her idea, and like when
Hmm.
she like it was kind of like, are we going to use him as bait? And when as soon as she says it, well, now we're going to do it.
Yeah.
So I like that all the characters are fun. I think the one character I don't know what you have about this. I think the one character we could have explored more was Ben. Honestly,
Yeah. They didn't they hinted at like him looking back on his old self and him being human, but other than that, they don't really do much with him.
yeah. Did you see that thing he said in an interview? Where he was like, they had a whole 30-minute sequence that they cut out with like a love scene between him and the teacher, I think. I can't
Oh,
tell if he's serious or
I,
not.
I heard that they did cut an intimate scene. I wonder if
Yeah,
that's
but like even him, I think we could have explored a bit more. Like Johnny has an integral part to this story. I
oh
mean,
yeah.
obviously Sue and Reed are the
Yeah.
parents of this whole family.
Hmm.
Um, I think Ben kind of gets, I don't want to say gets tossed to the side because he is really cool. And I think he provides for some of the best humor. Like the whole
Yeah.
clobbering time joke, like we all knew
Yeah.
it was gonna be funny. It's great. His humor with Johnny is also just great. Like when they're laying on the beds, that's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Him and Johnny are great in this movie together.
Yeah. So, but even like that, the dynamic, I think you could have seen a little bit more of Johnny and Ben, and it could have been more explored a bit more. I don't think it's bad by any means. I don't want to sit here and say it's bad. I just think that you could have used some of that extra 25 minutes to toss into the beginning of this
Yeah.
movie and add a little more depth to Ben's character. And because he has a really tragic storyline in the comics, I
Yeah,
guess
no,
not really. It's
he's a very sad individual and
yeah,
rightfully so.
and so it's like I don't know. That's the one character I think we could have explored a bit more.
Hmm.
But yeah, all the castings, like you said, I don't know if you want to get into it more. I thought they were all really great.
Really, I mean, they all did great. Oh man, what else? You got anything else?
Oh, I saw the other thing. This movie is pretty funny. I don't know if it's as funny as Superman
Oh,
necessarily.
I don't think it is, but there's definitely a lot of side jokes here and there that definitely get you. This is a pretty funny movie.
Yeah, and even like you said, Herbie, like the one scene where what is
Anytime he
what
talks, I would laugh,
when
honestly.
because you can't really hardly understand it, but you can kind of understand his like cadence. What's the
Like when he said,
ones?
"What the fuck?" to
Yeah, is that when Mole
man.
Man walks in or
Yeah.
yeah? That was funny, but there was a lot of funny moments in this movie. And they don't feel misplaced. That's like
Mm.
the big thing with Marvel movies. It's like it's a terribly misplaced humor where it's like a serious moment or something, and then it's like some stupid joke or the dialogue is trash. So I'm glad the humor actually kind of works in this movie.
No, yeah, the humor's great. What else?
Do you have any cons? I can't tell if we've been more pro or con.
I mean, con wise, the only con I really have is wanting more, and I don't. That could also you could turn that into a pro. I mean,
Yeah,
I a lot of my cons are a lot of MCU based, not movie based. I think this movie is very well done. Outside of like what you were saying, pacing in the beginning is very fast and straight there, and you definitely need a little bit more time with these characters and more time in general with the movie. Um, but when it comes to an MCU standpoint, like we said in the beginning, it's kind of like with Deadpool and Wolverine. It's like where do we go from here? I mean, you're just making these movies claiming they're MCU and then not doing anything with them. Now, obviously, with Fantastic Four, it's gonna be different, especially with the mid-credit scene with Doctor Doom. But it's you're wanting more, and that's what I came out walking away from this movie is wanting more.
yeah. I'm just not realizing my three cons necessarily. Are most of it that we kind of discussed, like the pacing in the beginning, I think is too fast. Like we kind of like it was kind of like we wanted to see Galactus. Like I don't know, and I wanted to as well. Like it was like, okay, let's get to Galactus now. Like,
Oh, I thought they introduced him well. I
oh, I
didn't think
agree.
I'm perfectly fine with that. I wouldn't have changed that at all. The only thing I would have changed is them losing and I guess changing the entire storyline in that sense.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of just like how the marketing is set up, and I'm guessing that's intentional. Like I would said, like it just kind of feels like those heights that we were expecting, at least from me. I was expecting them to lose, to leave
Mhm.
the world, and that's that. But it doesn't happen that way. And so yeah, I don't really have that as a con in my review. I might have to add that. It just kind of feels like this movie is the last one we get for this year, and it's the last one we get for another whole year.
Yeah.
Um,
Next movie is a Brand New Day, so which
yeah,
comes out like
it's like
June.
July or June, so
Yeah.
about a year, and we get
Mhm.
no shows in between. That it's like earth shattering. Like I don't, Vision Quest might be the biggest show we get, and I think it comes out in
That co-
August.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that comes out after. So yeah.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, the direction of it, the pacing at the beginning, but yeah, I think in my I like how we build up to it. Like I said, Sue Storm, that moment is incredible,
Hmm.
where she's basically using all of her powers, but it just kind of ends, and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
like I don't mean to say that it was bad or anything, because I was like happy with the ending, but it just kind of feels short. Did you say this is one of the shortest MCU movies?
It's one of the shortest MCU movies since the Marvels, so they're both under 2 hours if you don't count the credits.
Yeah, and I guess this is just me wanting more from their two superhero movies this month, where I was like, I want more Superman, and I was like, I want more Fantastic Four.
But
Maybe,
even with Superman, you could feel the runtime. This movie felt quick.
oh yeah, because even as soon as Franklin's there, what is there, an hour left?
Yeah,
An hour 15?
flies by.
I mean, by the time we get to that point, it's not even an hour yet,
Hmm.
and that's probably just after the best part of the movie, in my opinion. So I think this does feel short, and like you said with Superman, you can feel that 2 hour runtime, but
Hmm.
yeah, those are my big cons, really.
Yeah. Um, I don't really have anything else. I mean, obviously, positive wise, the casting's great, the effects look great, the story's good. The ending is very emotional. There was a moment where I actually thought they were going to go the route they were
Oh yeah,
looking at doing, and they didn't do it. But they drag it out just long enough to make you think, oh my gosh, they're actually doing this. They don't do it, and it
you could
it,
say
it
it. We
worked.
got spoilers.
Yeah, yeah. So they essentially kill. They do kill Sue Storm, and it's a good 2-3 minutes of them sobbing over her body, and it makes you think she's dead because she is. But then they do save her, and she's good to go. But it was very well done. The ending of that was very well done.
Yeah, that whole part was very well done. I think the baby Franklin reviving her felt a little. I can't tell if it was intentionally funny, or
When
I
he
just was
clapped,
like
no, that was definitely
when he
supposed
like
to.
claps at the end.
I
Yeah,
think that was supposed to be funny.
yeah, but it was nice to see his powers. I was kind of worried we weren't going to see any of
Yes.
his powers, Franklin's.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
I haven't read any of the comics, so I don't know anything about his powers. I just know he is a very, very powerful
I
individual.
was just about to ask you if you know anything about powers because I think I know one. I think I just know it's like him and Galactus have like an ever long fight, and
Yeah,
it's like
he's supposed to be a very, very powerful and yet very important individual. So,
yeah, and I'm glad they like make that known where it's like even after like the press conference where Sue Storm is like,
hmm.
um, he may whatever his powers might be, we're here and we need to like guide him, and I think that's great. That's like the whole central theme of this movie. It's It's like the future is coming, but we're present and ready to go.
Very ready to go. Yes.
Yeah. I just had some, I was just gonna say something. I don't remember what it was. Think, Tyler, think.
I don't know, man. We've kind of covered all of it.
This is what happens when we talk after the movie and we don't have four people.
Well, we still repeated like we so yeah, not having four people is definitely lowering our runtime. So Gabe and Jack, hurry up, get back.
All right, guys, we're gonna pause the pod right here while Jack and Gabe finish the movie.
Yep. And they will
Um,
join in. No, it's not gonna happen.
oh wait, that's what I want to say. Like you said, with like the how you think Sue is basically dead. This movie has a lot of moments where it's like you expect something and it doesn't
Mhm.
happen. Like when they escape from Silver Surfer and then she flies back in. That was
Yeah.
awesome. It's like,
Yes.
oh shit, the stakes are actually like
No,
they're
the stakes are
heightened.
stakes are very high throughout this movie, which is
Yeah,
very
because it's a different universe. So, and like we said, like it doesn't happen this way, but we're both expecting. I don't know how the rest of the audience was and how people watch the movie. You're kind of expecting somebody them to lose in some capacity. So there's these moments where they could feel formulaic and cliche, they don't happen. That's a great positive.
Mhm.
Because like with Sue dying, with Silver Surfer almost there, when Galactus like reaches his hand back out through the portal, that was awesome. It's like, oh, they actually are gonna lose now. Um, but it was I just think they did a good job of making it keeping the audience engaged for the whole, well, albeit shorter runtime. Um, so
Mhm.
I that was really cool. That was a nice little addition.
Yeah, having the shorter runtime for this movie definitely has some positives in allowing you to fill that runtime with a lot of fun, enjoyable sequences, and making this movie, which it is, feel short,
Yeah,
but also wanting more.
yeah. So I mean, that's all I have to say for my
That's
review.
all I gotta say. If you want to go right into our little summaries,
Yeah, you started, so you want to go first?
yeah, I can go first. All right. Overall, I think this is a fantastic movie. You can see this family bond from the 4 years that they've gotten their powers to their peak. The emotions are high, the stakes are high, and you sprinkle in a little bit of humor on top. I thought the Thunderbolts was an all right movie, but walking out of this movie, it's been a while since I have felt very positively about an MCU movie and the future. I know I've talked about that it has you thinking, where do we go from here? But even then, you still have a general idea of where this is going to go. But this movie does have you wanting more, and in this case, you could argue this is a good thing. So I have this as a 4.5 out of 5.
It's about where I expected you. Um, so for me, I have, in summary, I was very pleased this movie kind of stands on its own in the MCU, similar to Thunderbolts, but also a little displeased with what it does for our future, surrounding like how close we are to Doomsday. Um, I love the performances. The family truly feels like a family.
Mhm.
It was a very entertaining addition with a large scale epic villains in this movie. But it sort of feels rushed sometimes and perhaps a little undercooked in the ideas it was going for. I still had a fun time with this one. I think that's like the best thing you can say about this movie. And I would absolutely recommend this. So I gave this a 4 out of 5 right now.
Mhm.
I'm going, like I said, I'm going tomorrow, and I could 100% see myself going up to 4.5, just depending on how it feels a second time around. But I'm already itching to go see it again, similar to how I feel with Superman. Like as soon as we finished Superman, I was like, I gotta go see that again. And this movie I ended on, I was like, oh, okay, that was like a 4 to 5. And now I get home and I'm like, nah, I really want to go see this again. So it's like I'm excited to see how I feel about the second time around.
All right, that is it. Please make sure to go watch this movie. This is a great time for the family and you as well. If you haven't already, go like and subscribe to all of our channels on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and we will see you next time.